Hello, dear students of class 6. Today I am going to teach you chapter 8 from the book The Story of Sister Nivedita. I will complete this chapter in 2 classes. So let's start. Chapter 8, Among the Great. Mother's Darling. In 1907, Nivedita went to the West and stayed there for 2 years. She came back to India in 1909. Oh, it is grand to be back at one's desk and near Holy Mother. I cannot tell you how wonderful it is. The place really exists. The whole wonderful dreamland in one's heart is here. She wrote to a friend in pure delight. The greatest attraction for her in Bagh Bazaar was the Holy Mother. Since that blessed day in 1898, when she first saw the Holy Mother, her heart was drawn towards her. During her first stay in Bagh Bazaar, she was under the protecting roof of Mother, and both her rented houses were very close to Mother's house. At intervals, Mother went to stay at her country house at Jairambati. But whenever she returned to Calcutta, she paid a visit to Nivedita's school. Nivedita would consider it a festive occasion and decorate the gates with leaves and flowers. She would supervise the cleaning of the rooms and ask the girls to offer flowers at her feet. She would bow low to Mother as soon as she alighted from the carriage. Nivedita too made it a point to visit Mother whenever possible. Mother addressed her as my darling child, and she was Nivedita's beloved mother. She became like a child of 5 when she sat by Mother. Lovingly and longingly, she would look at Mother, and a smile from her was sufficient to gladden her heart. She liked to render small services to Mother. Joyfully, she would spread Mother's carpet for her to sit upon. In the glare of light, she would shade her eyes. There were exchanges of presents between them. When Nivedita was in foreign lands, her thoughts were always with Mother, and she sent her all the news about herself and her work. In 1900, when Nivedita was in America collecting funds for her school, Mother wrote to her, "My love to you, baby daughter Nivedita. I am so glad to learn you have prayed to the Lord for my eternal peace. You are a manifestation of the ever blissful Mother. I look at your photo, which is with me every now and then, and it seems as if you are present with me. I long for the day and the year when you will return. May the prayer you have uttered for me from the depth of your pure virgin soul be true. I am well and happy. I always pray to the Lord that He might help you in your noble efforts and keep you strong and happy. I pray too for your quick return. May He fulfill your desires about the women's home in India and may that home fulfill its mission in teaching true religion to all. He, the breath of the universe, is singing his own praise, and you are hearing that eternal song through things that will come to an end. The trees, the birds, and hills, and all are singing praise to the Lord. The banyan of Dakshineshwar sings to Kali. To be sure and blessed is he who has ears to hear it. My love to you and blessing and prayers for your spiritual growth. You are doing excellent work indeed. But do not forget your Bengali, else I will not be able to understand you when you come back. It gave me such delight to learn that you are speaking of Dhruva, Savitri, Sita, Rama, etc. The accounts of their holy lives are better than all the vain talks of the world. I am sure. Oh, how beautiful is the name and doings of the Lord. Yours, Mother. When Nivedita went to America again in 1910, her friend Mrs. Sarah Bull was very ill. She went to a church in Boston where she was staying to pray for Sarah. There she saw the mother as the Madonna. She went home and immediately wrote a letter to mother. Beloved mother, this morning early I went to church to pray for Sarah. All the people there were thinking of Mary, the mother of Jesus, and suddenly I thought of you. Your dear face and your loving look and your white sari and your bracelets. It was all there, and it seemed to me that yours was the presence that was to soothe and bless poor S. Sarah's sick room. And do you know, I thought I had been very foolish to sit in your room at the evening service to Sri Ramakrishna, trying to meditate. Why did I not understand that it was quite enough to be a little child at your dear feet? Dear mother, you are full of love, and it is not a flushed and violent love like ours and like the world's, but a gentle peace that brings good to everyone and wishes ill to none. It is a golden radiance full of play. What a blessed Sunday that was a few months ago when I ran in to you, the last thing before I went on the Ganges, and ran back to you for a moment as soon as I came back. I felt such a wonderful freedom in the blessing you gave me and in your welcome home. Dearest mother, I wish we could send you a wonderful hymn or a prayer, but somehow even that would seem too loud, too full of noise. Surely you are the most wonderful thing of God, Sri Ramakrishna's own chalice of his love for the world, a token left with his children in these lonely days, and we should be very still and quiet before you, except indeed for a little fun. Surely the wonderful things of God are all quite stealing unnoticed into our lives, the air and the sunlight and the sweetness of gardens and of the Ganges. These are the silent things that are like you. Do send to poor S. Sarah the mantle of your peace. Isn't your thought now and then of the high calm that neither loves nor hates? Isn't that a sweet benediction that trembles in God like the dew drop on the lotus leaf and touches not the world? Ever, my darling mother, your foolish cookie child Nivedita. Mother's concern for Nivedita's health and her keen interest in her work were always a source of strength and inspiration to her. Next part, Gopaler Ma. Gopaler Ma lived with mother. She was already in her 80s when Nivedita met her. She was a saint whom Sri Ramakrishna looked upon as mother. She was a very orthodox woman. When Nivedita first went to stay at mother's house, she was shocked to have a foreigner in the house. But she gradually came to love Nivedita. She called her Noren's daughter, for she called Swami Vivekananda Noren. In 1903, when Gopaler Ma was very ill, she went to stay with Nivedita, completely won over by her love and devotion, and especially by her pure and simple life. And Nivedita was simply overjoyed. Her dear little grandmother, her dearest treasure, was in her own house. She was so happy to have this opportunity to serve Gopaler Ma. 3 years later, Gopaler Ma died in Nivedita's house. According to the Hindu custom, Nivedita arranged a small function 10 days later, to which ladies of the neighborhood were invited. Religious music went on for hours and consecrated food was distributed. The Boses. Dr. Jagadish Chandra Bose and his wife Abola Bose were amongst the closest friends of Nivedita. Besides helping Dr. Bose in writing and publishing his research papers, as already mentioned, she inspired him to plan a scientific research institute. It was not actually opened until 1917, after Nivedita's death, but Dr. Bose never forgot the help she had given him. In his opening speech, he said, "In all my struggling efforts, I have not been altogether solitary. While the world doubted, there have been a few now in the city of silence who never wavered in their trust." Nivedita spent all her holidays with the Boses, either in the west or in Damdam near Calcutta, or Darjeeling or Almora. In 1910, they went on a long pilgrimage together to Kedarnath and Bodri Narayan in the Himalayas. The following year, it was in their home in Darjeeling that she breathed her last. The Tagores. Nivedita first met Rabindranath Tagore in 1898. The following year, she also met his father Devendranath on 2 occasions. Rabindranath's appearance, bearing, voice and language deeply impressed her. He in turn was struck by her love for India and the Hindu religion. He wanted her to start a school on western lines for his daughter, but she refused because she did not like children to be influenced by foreign ideals. Rabindranath sent his son Rathindranath to the Himalayas with a few students sent by Nivedita. In 1904, he went with her to Bodh Gaya, and later in the same year she went and stayed with him in Shilaida near Dhaka. Rabindranath wrote a beautiful character sketch of Nivedita in his book Porichaya, in which he said she is to be respected not because she was a Hindu, but because she was great. She is to be honored not because she was like us, but because she was greater than us. When Abanindranath Tagore met Nivedita, he was the vice principal of the Calcutta Art School. Her appreciation of Indian art inspired him to give up foreign ideas and take to the Indian style of painting. In his eyes, she was an ideal of beauty. With her white gown and Rudraksha beads, she appeared to him to be a tapaswini carved of marble, a meditating Uma. Seeing her love for India, he said, among all the foreigners who love India, Nivedita occupies the highest place. Sorola Ghoshal was Rabindranath's niece and a friend of Nivedita. She was an educated and accomplished woman. Swami Vivekananda wanted her to help him and go with him to the West, but she could not. She wrote in her biography letter, Swamiji went away with Nivedita and she became the bearer of his message. Okay, that's all for today.